Good evening. On behalf of the Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame Board of Directors, we welcome you to tonight's induction ceremony for the class of 2016. Our first inductee of the class of 2016 is Mr. David Ansel Hall. David Ansel Newby Hall graduated in 1957. During his time at Swain High, he played every sport: football, basketball, baseball, and track. He was quite the athlete. Mr. Hall started in center field for the baseball team as a freshman. In football, he was a classic fullback, gaining most of his yards between the tackles. Hall also served as a great complement to his backfield mate, the speedy Stub High. During his senior campaign, Mr. Hall rushed for a career-high 190 yards on 35 carries against Civil Webster. In the same year, he rushed for 158 yards on 25 carries against Murphy. Hall was a member on 3 straight Smoky Mountain Conference championship baseball teams. In football, his teams won back-to-back Smoky Mountain Conference championships in 1956 and 57. During that time, they compiled an overall 18-2-1 mark under Hall of Fame coach Norris Pee Wee Jones. The Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame is proud to welcome Mr. David Hall to the class of 2016. Our next inductee for the class of 2016 is Leafus Tubby. Leafus Tubby graduated in 1980. During his time at Swain High, he played football, and he played it well. A member of the Hall of Fame 1979 state championship team, he became their primary running back. During the regular season, Mr. Tubby rushed for 1,401 yards, averaging just over 100 yards per game. But Tubby saved his best for his final game in maroon and white. In the state championship game, the first such game in the history of Swain High, he rushed for a career-high 235 yards on 32 carries as the Maroon Devils downed Clayton to clinch Swain High School's first ever state championship. On top of that, Mr. Tubby did not practice the week of the championship game due to a death in his family. He was named the 1979 Smoky Mountain Conference Back of the Year. Was also an All-Western North Carolina selection. He became the second Swain player in school history, joining Charlie Williams to be named to the East-West All-Star Game. The Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame is proud to welcome Mr. Leifus Tubby to the class of 2016. Our next inductee into the Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame is Miss Chelsea Treadway Whitmire. Chelsea Treadway Whitmire graduated in 2011. Ms. Whitmire played volleyball and ran track at Swain High. She was primarily known for her accomplishments on the track. Ms. Whitmire holds the distinction of being the only female three-time individual state champion in school history. It was a move to the 800-meter run during her sophomore year that paid huge dividends and proved to be very fortuitous. Ms. Whitmire would go on to win the state 1A championship in the 800-meter run for each of the next 3 years. She was so dominant in the event that she only lost 3 races in her high school career and none during her senior season. In her final race as a Lady Devil, she shattered her own school record by winning in a time of 2 minutes, 14.4 seconds. That time was also good enough to set a new state record in the 800 meters. It beat the second place finisher by 12 full seconds. Ms. Whitmire also won 3 consecutive Western Regional 1A championships, as well as 3 consecutive Smoky Mountain Conference championships. She was also an anchor on the 4x800 relay team at Swain, which finished as state runner-up. Ms. Whitmire was a 2-time All-Western North Carolina selection and an 8-time All-Smoky Mountain Conference, 7-time All-Western Regional. She was also ranked in the top 100 800-meter runners in the United States 2 years in a row. Ms. Whitmire went on to run cross-country and track at Samford University for 4 years. The Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame is proud to welcome Chelsea Treadway Whitmire to the class of 2016. Our final inductee of the night is our patron inductee, Mr. Pete Lawson. Pete Lawson, patron. Mr. Lawson worked for the Smoky Mountain Times for over 30 years. During his time, Mr. Lawson reported bad news like an old friend and good news like a best friend, celebrating the accomplishments of not only Swain High athletes, but all of Swain County, while never compromising the facts. He carried out every chore of publishing at the Smoky Mountain Times, from typesetting to advertising sales, photography, reporting, editing, and yes, even delivery. He gave voice to the accomplishments of young people for his entire 30-plus year career. He was named the North Carolina JC Citizen of the Year and was the 2006-07 recipient of the Jack Stickley Fellow for Dedicated Humanitarian Services by the North Carolina Lions Club Foundation, a 5-time recipient of the Swain County Schools Outstanding Contribution or Service Award, and on top of that, he was kind enough to give me a job, one that lasted for 18 great years. Thanks for that, Pete. The Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame is proud to welcome Pete Lawson to the class of 2016. And now that you've met our 4 inductees for tonight's ceremony, let's go straight to the ceremony itself. Take it away, Gary.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. For those of you who might not know me, I'm Gary Ayers, a very proud member of the Swain High Athletic Hall of Fame. And as I look back at some of those great photos and great memories, it makes me very proud to be a part of this induction ceremony here tonight. And without any further ado, we want to invite all our inductees to please join me on stage. And as they make their way down, please give these respected and honorable athletes and those family members who are representing here tonight a great round of applause. Please come down. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started tonight and proceed with our Hall of Fame inductees and to tell you about some of their great accomplishments, for some of you who noticed a couple of very familiar faces on the video that we showed just a moment ago, a couple of those folks are no longer with us. And before we get started, if you would join me and bow our heads to remember the great and legendary Delmar Robinson and Denny Rochester. They meant so much to all of us. They were fantastic in all they did, whether it be on the athletic field or as a patron in the case of Mr. Delmar Robinson. So if you would, please join me in a moment of silence as we remember two of our Hall of Fame members who are no longer with us here tonight. Thank you. We have so much to talk about here tonight, but before we do, I want to, if I can put on my salesman hat for just a moment, we want to recognize our Athletic Hall of Fame Board of Directors because they have a very difficult job. For example, we have 70 plus people who are considered every year at this time to be inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame. That's a lot of people who have excelled, whether it be as a patron in donating their time, their talents, their financial resources, or the outstanding athletes that we have honored so many times on this stage and that we're going to honor here tonight. So they have a tough job, and if some of those members are here tonight, our Athletic Hall of Fame Board of Directors include Chairperson Tammy Burns, Vice Chair Bob Marr, Bob Thomas, I know who is here with us tonight. If any of you folks would please stand as I mention your name. Harry Birchfield, Coach Neil Blankenship, Coach Boyce Dietz, T.L. Jones, Danny Muse, O'Neill Muse, Chuck McMahon, Sarah Robinson. I know Mark Sale is here tonight, and Dan Treeherne. Let's give our Board of Directors a great round of applause, if you would. And also, if you'd like to help us out with the Athletic Hall of Fame by putting your name on the Wall of Fame, if you led it in a sport here at Swain High, you can purchase a brick with your name, your sport, and the years you played. Also, you can pick up one of the conveniently located brick order forms, fill out your information, and mail the form and your check for $75 to the Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame. And we would appreciate your support in that. And we appreciate all the work that these Board of Directors do because it is tough to try to narrow it down every year to a small number because there are so many great people who have done so many great things for Swain County High School, and whether again it be on the athletic field or as a patron these so many years. Now, let's get started and talk about some wonderful people that are sitting here behind me. Thank goodness, I was thinking last night, thank goodness I don't have to moderate a debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. We have some beautiful people here on stage tonight yes. I thought maybe I shouldn't even mention politics because we've all heard it so much we're getting tired of it, right? But I got to say, I did go and vote today, so my conscience is clear and I've done my duty, and I hope you will go vote and do your duty as well. But these people on stage here tonight, they get my vote every time because we respect them, we love them, and we appreciate what they represent for not only Swain County High School, but as they have gone forward in their lives to make us all proud to be Swain High alumni. And let's start tonight with Mr. David Hall. And I hope he tells us, I was wondering myself, David, how you got this name Newbie, so maybe you can enlighten us on this a little bit. If it's possible, let me clarify that. But Newbie Hall was fantastic. Just to elaborate a little bit on what Toby Burrell said in the introduction, he graduated back in 1957. He was a classic fullback in football who gained most of his yards between the tackles. He rushed for a career-high 190 yards on 35 carries against Silva his senior year. Also rushed for 158 yards on 25 carries against Murphy. And David, I got to tell you, those are probably the two schools we would rather beat than any other schools we ever played, Silva and Murphy. So thank you for all the wonderful yards you gained against both those schools. He started in center field as a freshman for the baseball team. He was a member of the Smoky Mountain Conference champion baseball team 3 years in a row, 1954, 1955, and 1956. and he was a member of the Smoky Mountain Conference championship football teams back in 1955 and 1956. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure in introducing Mr. David Newby Hall.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. And I thank my family for some of my family members as being here. I'm David Newby Hall. Where I got that nickname, I grew up on a farm. And we had corn. We'd shuck the corn, and small corns like that, you'd call them nubbins. So I was telling one of my classmates about it, and he started calling me Newby. So that I went through that all through school. That's what I was known by, Newby. I'd like to thank Stub Hyde for nominating me. I talked to him Monday, and he's got bad health. He said he'd like to come up, but he couldn't make it. And I'd also like to thank the Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame for making me part of the induction class of 2016. I can't put in words what this means to me at this age. I'm being recognized for things I did 60 years ago. That's unbelievable, but I thank you. I thank you. I entered high school in 1953. I was 5'11" and weighed 155 pounds. My senior year, I was 6'1" and weighed 195 pounds. I played all sports throughout my high school years: football, basketball, baseball, track. Football, I played fullback and linebacker. Baseball, I started in center field my freshman year, but my sophomore year I was moved to catcher. Basketball, I played guard. Track, I run the 440. I don't know how many yards I rushed for through my 2 years, 55 and 56. But the two games that I had 158 and 190 yards, that's 348 yards in 2 games. But I don't know how many I rushed for throughout my career at Swain High. If I could go back and relive any part of my life, it would be my last 2 years in high school. Or 1956, I met the love of my heart. I was walking down the hall, going to class, and this young lady walked up to me and introduced herself. And it was October the 5th, 1956. We was playing Murphy that night, and she said, "Score a touchdown for me." I did better than that. I scored 2 that night. We beat Murphy 21-12. In 1961, we were married. And we have a son, 2 daughters, 8 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. But my wife now, at the present time, has Alzheimer's. And I spend most of my time taking care of her. We just put it in somebody's hands a lot greater than what we are. I do have time to play golf every now and then. I visit nursing homes twice a week. I'm involved at the church I attend. I'm finishing my 6th year as a deacon. And I'm volunteer chaplain for the St. Cloud Regional Medical Center. And again, I'd like to thank Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame for making me part of the induction class of 2016. And as I stand here tonight, being inducted into the class of 2016, I know I stand shoulder to shoulder with the greatest female and male athletes that played at Swain High. Thank you all very much.
And it's obvious to me in his work through life that Newbie is still living up to our motto. He's still giving it his best and then some. By the way, for those of you who might not realize this, we're actually broadcasting live tonight on the internet. Thanks to Joe Holt for being here with us tonight and doing the camera work and presenting that. That's always a special feature for those who might not be able to get here. And Joe, we appreciate all the good work that you and Toby Burrell do to make that possible. Now let's run the tape forward a little bit. Of course, David Newby Hall played back in the mid-1950s, and this fellow played back in 1979. We're talking about Leifus Tubby. And some of his stats, just like Newby Hall, are just amazing. He was a key member on our very first state championship football team back in 1979. He rushed for 1,636 yards on 216 carries during that special year, and I did the quick math. That's 7.6 yards a carry. That's pretty good, isn't it, Newby? That's pretty good. In the state championship game, as Toby mentioned earlier in the video, Leifus ran for 235 yards on 32 carries, despite not practicing at all that week due to a death in his family. He really gave it his best and then some that night as well. He was the 1979 Smoky Mountain Conference Back of the Year, 1979 All-Western North Carolina selection in football, and he was selected to the East-West All-Star Game in 1980. One of the greatest guys to ever pick up the pigskin here at Swain County High School. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our great honor to welcome Leifus Tubby into the Swain High Athletic Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank God. No, really, thank God for creating this great big country of ours. And I'd like to thank my Aunt Ina Wade for picking up a damaged child and be able to put him on a pedestal. And who can forget the 79 team, huh? We had a defense that just gave us the ball or scoring. So, you know, the offense, only thing we had to do is just run the ball. And thank you. And thank Swain County Countyan for offsetting their field for us. That meant a lot for us. Thank you.
It was so good, believe me. I had the joy of broadcasting high school sports back in 1979 when Leifus played. And everybody talks about how many yards Leifus always gained as a running back, but most of us who were there, I'm sure will remember, and Leifus, you don't get credit for this, you were pretty good on defense too. I mean, Leifus Tubby played, he was kind of a stand-up defensive end. He'd play out there on the end of the line, and he really made some great plays on defense. And Leifus, believe me, from fans to broadcasters, it was a joy and a privilege to watch you play. You made us all proud. You truly did. And what a special year that was for that 1979 team that's also a member of the Swain High Athletic Hall of Fame. As Toby mentioned a moment ago, this next gentleman, Pete Lawson, we had something in common. He gave us both a job writing sports for the Smoky Mountain Times at different times. And I know Toby will agree with me. Pete was just a special person, just like the other inductees we've talked about here tonight in Newby Hall and Leifus Tubby. Now, obviously, Pete didn't play much football here at Swain High or basketball or baseball or anything like that, but he was a special person for what he did for not only Swain High athletics, but for all of Swain County. He was the publisher, the editor, the reporter for the Smoky Mountain Times for over 30 years. And as Toby mentioned, and this is such a good way to describe Pete if you knew him, he reported bad news like an old friend and good news like a best friend. And he celebrated the accomplishments of not only Swain High athletes, but all of Swain County, while never compromising the facts. And he literally did carry out every chore of publishing the Smoky Mountain Times, from the typesetting. He sold the ads, he did the photography, he reported, he edited, and yes, he even took the newspapers around late on Wednesday night, early Thursday morning to deliver those papers a lot of times and put them in the racks. He gave voice to the accomplishments of young people for his entire 30-plus year career. The North Carolina JCs named him Citizen of the Year. He was 2006-2007 recipient of the Jack Stickley Fellow for Dedicated Humanitarian Services by the North Carolina Lions Club Foundation. He was a 5-time recipient of the Swain County Schools Outstanding Contribution Service Award. And I thought this was really cool. Not everybody gets to be the Grand Marshal of the 1978 Swain Merchants Christmas Parade. And that was special for Pete, too. He was a recipient of the Swain County Athletic Hall of Fame Special Recognition Award back in 2007. It is indeed a great pleasure to recognize Pete Lawson here tonight, who has passed on, but his son, Charles Lawson, is here tonight to accept the induction of Mr. Pete Lawson. Charles?
So, for those of you who knew Pete, you knew there was a couple things he would never be without. Number one is the cheapest pen money can buy in his pocket. And also a wad of note cards on which he wrote everything. And a Pentax camera of the 1970s model. Now I've got two of the three things here. But I want to start out with a quote from a newspaper article. It was volume 25, number 40, April 30th, 2009. As I was sitting around trying to figure out what to say, I just gave up and I went to looking through old newspaper articles. And this was from Quentin Ellison, probably described him the best. So to quote, "To describe Lawson as habitually reserved is an understatement, akin to blandly noting that Swain County likes its football." That's about as good as anybody has ever done describing the man. And I can't help but toot his horn because it would have absolutely mortified him to be in the spotlight. So I'm going to take this time to give you my view on the man. We've already heard what's in the newspaper. We've heard awards he's gotten. And we've heard about some of his accomplishments in the 35 years he was the editor of the Smoky Mountain Times. But this is a little snapshot from living with the man. So you have to forgive me because I got to jump around a little bit. Part of this I wasn't alive yet or old enough to appreciate his accomplishments. So Pete Lawson was the editor of the Smoky Mountain Times from 1973 through 2009. Now this is where I got to jump ahead a little bit, about 14 years, where I was old enough to appreciate what he did every day. So as a child, I was wondering, well, did Dad actually live with us? Because I thought he just had a 4-day weekend, because I never saw him Monday through Wednesday. And miraculously, he would show up Thursday morning for breakfast, and he'd be there Thursday evening for dinner. And again, Friday and Saturday and Sunday I'd see him. Well, you know how children modify their reality to what they understand. That was my understanding as a very small child. But I grew to understand that he really was very dedicated to what he did for Swain County. And just a couple more examples. So when I was old enough to appreciate going to a football game, I would pester my dad, and he had with all intention of taking me, but he liked to make it difficult and give me a hard time about that. But sure, I'll take you to the football game. But it came with a caveat. It's like, you can't pester me. I'm working. You get to goof off. And again, further on down the line, when I wanted to go to a basketball game, came with the same caveat. He'd take me, but so remember, you little twerp, I'm working. You're goofing off. It wasn't until I got into middle school and nearly into high school that I was really big into TV wrestling, WWF, and whatnot. And this was the first time I didn't have to pester Dad to take me to a sporting event at Swain County High School. He said, "Charles, you're going with me to see what real wrestling is." And this time it did not come with a caveat. He truly wanted me to experience the real part of athletics at Swain and lose the glamorous stuff on TV. Now, that's just a small snapshot of what Pete did for Swain County High School and Swain County as a whole. And I just wanted to take that moment to give you that little piece. But on behalf of the Lawson family, I wish to congratulate all the 2016 nominees, and keep in mind that the memories he's left will be in good company with these folks standing behind me. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. I was thinking today, or matter of fact, the last few days, about some memories of Pete Lawson, and I have to share this story. Some of you who are probably as old as I am, or maybe a little bit older, will remember this story and this article. Back before the internet was invented, everybody in Swain County read the Smoky Mountain Times. I mean, that's what we did. Those of us who lived close enough to town listened to the radio. Some of those a little further out didn't listen to the radio. You couldn't pick it up back then, but everybody, believe me, Charles, back in the day, before the internet came along, and most people, I believe today, still read the Smoky Mountain Times, but back then, again, before that computerized information system that we're so related to today came along, it was always a big deal to pick up the Thursday Smoky Mountain Times. So that's just something you read religiously. And again, to share this story, I'll have to be a little bit careful because this story actually made its way into the legal system, and there were some actions involved in that. But again, back to politics, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago. Back in the day, this was back in the late 70s, there was some political shenanigans, if I can use that word, going on in Swain County, as every small county has, especially back in those days. And Pete Lawson, of course, was writing a story about these particular events that actually made its way into the legal system. And some of you who remember this will probably know where I'm going here. But Pete had a way with words. His vocabulary was very outstanding. He didn't use it a lot, I don't think, to the extent he could have. But there was a particular character who was involved in some of these political shenanigans at the time that Pete related to in his story. And he described this character that we all knew very well as ubiquitous. Now, back then, of course, maybe Bob Thomas might have known what that word meant, but everybody else who read that story and read that word had to go run and find a dictionary to find out what in the heck does ubiquitous mean. And I looked it up again today, and it meant seemingly present everywhere at the same time. But Pete had a way of spiking your curiosity and, again, making you run for the dictionary to find out exactly how he was describing this particular character and his involvement in the political goings-on of the day. But I remember it well, just like it was yesterday. He used a word that we didn't know, but Pete had that talent and that ability, He was just such a gentleman and a scholar as well that we learned to appreciate for many, many, many years. Moving on, this lady was fantastic. What else can we say? You saw her some of her accomplishments in the video we watched earlier. But Chelsea Treadway Whitmire graduated just 5 years ago. Seems longer than that, right? Yeah, it seems longer than that. Once you've been out a while, it seems like it was forever ago. But Chelsea ran cross country and track at Samford University down in Birmingham, Alabama, an outstanding university. She was North Carolina High School Athletic Association 3-time state champion in the 800-meter run. 2011 800-meter state champion, finishing with a state record time of 2 minutes, 14.7 seconds. In her senior season, she did not lose a single race all season and lost only 3 times in her entire high school career. She was the second runner in state history to win the 800-meter state championship 3 times. That's just incredible. And if you watch that video, she had such a lead on that particular race she was running. I'm not even sure why the second place person didn't give up, Chelsea. I mean, you had like a 100-yard lead coming into the finish line. She also won 3 consecutive Western Regional and Smoky Mountain Conference championships in the 800-meter run. During her sophomore state championship run, she finished in a time of 2 minutes, 20.4 seconds, and followed that in her junior year with a time of 2 minutes, 19.5 seconds. She also ran the anchor leg on the 4x800-meter relay team, which finished as state runner-up in 2011 with a time of 10 minutes, 3.7 seconds. Chelsea was a 2-time All-Western North Carolina selection, 8-time All-Smoky Mountain Conference selection, 7-time All-Western Regional, and ranked in the top 100 800-meter runners in the entire country 2 years in a row. Outstanding accomplishments for an outstanding young lady, and it makes us all proud that she is a former Maroon Devil that we're inducting into the Athletic Hall of Fame here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea Treadway Whitmire.
Good evening. What an honor it is to stand before you tonight for this remarkable occasion. I thank God for all of his blessings and the talents he gave me, and I thank my teachers, coaches, and my family for all of the support during my time at Swain. I am truly blessed to call Swain County High School my alma mater, for it laid the foundation for the person I am today. As you may or may not know, I came to Swain in the middle of my 8th grade year. It was quite an adjustment to make new friends and have new teachers, but it was a decision that I will never regret. I quickly learned that Swain County is a tight-knit community that thrives off the pride they show for their schools. They have a rich history in athletics, exceptional education, and they truly live by their motto, our best and then some. As I entered high school, I learned what it meant to give our best and then some from both my teachers and my coaches. One of my teachers who is dear to my heart is Mr. Bob Thomas. As I was a part of his freshman English class, which doubled as Swain County High School initiation. I don't remember many of the assignments from that class, but I do remember the stories he used to tell of Swain County alumni and how he required every student to memorize and sing the Swain County alma mater. He taught us the traditions of Swain and exhibited what it meant to be a Maroon Devil. I give credit of my Swain pride to Mr. Bob Thomas. Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for all that you taught me. 2 more teachers I would like to thank for molding my academics are Ms. Dawn Gilchrist Young and Ms. Billy Clemens. These 2 ladies taught me to think outside of the curriculum. They made learning engaging and were personable to all of their students. They personify what Swain County High School stands for, and they prepared me for my academic journey through college and my journey through life. I will always remember the thought-provoking discussions held in Ms. Young's class and how Ms. Clemens used to have a song for everything she taught, even when there was a new unit. My teachers throughout my Swain High career molded me and ingrained in me to always do my best and then some. Although I had memorable times in academics, Swain athletic memories are what I hold dear to my heart, and it is the reason I'm here tonight. In my 4 years of high school, I participated in volleyball and track and field. At the time, both sports were winning conference championships and were very competitive in the state. I started my athletic career playing volleyball under Coach Sonia Blankenship. It was an honor to be one of her athletes, and she taught me what it meant to work hard. Not many people know this, but at the beginning of my freshman year, I actually quit volleyball. I approached Coach B and told her the news, and instead of accepting my idea, she told me to take a day and think about it. She expressed that she didn't want me to quit and to give volleyball another try. I came back the next day deciding that I'd stick with the sport, and I'm so thankful I did. Coach B was hard on us, but that's what made her so successful. She concentrated on the details and made sure we were giving forth all our effort. I'm so thankful I stuck with volleyball, and I'm even more thankful that Coach B stuck with me. While volleyball consumed the fall, track and field consumed the spring. I started my time in track as a hurdler, sprinter, and thrower. I stepped onto a team with tremendous athletes, including the recent Hall of Fame inductee, Jewel Breedlove. I was blessed to have been a freshman when Jewel was a senior. She was also a hurdler, and she was a great mentor. She pushed me in practice and exhibited what hard work and practice looked like during a race. I had gotten to know Jewel during volleyball season through a program Coach B had set up called Big Sister, Little Sister, which paired up a varsity athlete to a JV athlete. I was fortunate to be paired with Jewel, and it was a bond that existed outside of volleyball. For example, after she had graduated high school, she came to support me at a state meet and at a national meet. That is one of the good things about Swain. At a small school, it's easier to create close bonds, and the bond that was created between Jewel and I was truly like that of sisters. As I entered my sophomore year, I continued to compete in hurdle races. I had qualified for state the year before, but my times were plateauing. My father, who was a two-time All-American and was a cross-country and track athlete for Florida State, had the crazy idea of having me run my first ever 800-meter race at the WCU Invitational over spring break. I had never raced over 400 meters, and distance running didn't sound very appealing, but I decided to give it a try. I ended up running 2 minutes and 25 seconds and came in second place. My time broke the meet record, and I almost broke Swain's school record. At that point, I was ready to embrace distance running and put my efforts toward pursuing a state championship. My dad created a plan that included running more distance and running harder workouts on the weekends. Our efforts paid off because it was in May of 2009, during my sophomore year, that I won my first state championship. It was very surreal, especially because I was so new to that type of running, but I was determined to get better and to work harder so that I could win again. Now that I had shown success and promise in the 800, my dad set forth to create a training regimen that included weightlifting 3 times per week, more distance runs with higher mileage, and harder workouts on the weekends, in addition to what I was doing in track practice on the weekdays. I also started running 2 miles every morning before school to add to my distance foundation. This plan started in November after volleyball and ended in June after national meets in both my junior and senior years of high school. Looking back on my training and all of the work I put forth, I can see that I took Swain's motto to heart. My best and then some led to 2 more state championships and a state record. The thought of my success is still surreal. I would never have gotten as far as I did without the support of my amazing teachers, my incredible coaches, this wonderful community, and my supportive family. Throughout high school, both sets of my grandparents were present for most of my volleyball games and track meets. I am thankful for their cheers and encouragement, and it's a blessing that they were with me through my athletic journey. They were even with me as I signed up for freshman classes because it was right after a track meet. Swain found out very quickly that the Treadways were a supportive bunch, and they put a lot of emphasis on family. Most of all, I really want to thank my mom and dad. They were with me through all my successes and setbacks, and their support never wavered. My mom traveled wherever I did, cheered for everything I participated in, and celebrated with me in the victories. My dad coached me and taught me about hard work on and off the track. He was with me on the track on Sunday afternoons as I would run my speed workouts. He was with me in the weight room on weeknights, and he would even wake up at 5:30 in the morning during the week as I ran my morning runs to follow me on his motorized scooter to be sure I was safe and to light up the road as I ran. The most special moment of my high school athletic career was not the state championships or breaking the state record, but it was sitting at the top of the Swain football bleachers with my dad right before my senior year state championship meet. We sat looking down at the track as we talked about all the memories I had from Swain. That was a special day, and Swain is a special place. Swain County High School is a place that is dear to my heart. It is here that I made lifelong friends, met amazing teachers, and learned what it meant to give our best and then some, which is a motto I carried with me to college running, and it is a motto I will carry with me throughout life. Thank you so much for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. It is a great honor. And before I leave here tonight, I would like to sing Swain's alma mater as Mr. Thomas taught me years ago, because it expresses everything that is true about Swain County. Please excuse my lousy singing voice, and please join in if you know the words. Swain high, we ever praise thy nobleness, and we have for thee a feeling we can ne'er express. Thou art majestic, Swain high, 'neath the Carolina blue. We salute thee, Swain high, and to thee will e'er be true. With colors of maroon and white, with standards always for the right, we hail the alma mater and sing praises that are due. Thank you, Swain County, for the memories, amazing people, and lessons you taught me that I will carry with me throughout life. Go Marine Devils.
And Chelsea, I have to share this with you. You'll be very happy to know that Bob Thomas sings our school song every Friday night at our home football games. And he's a pretty good singer too. You'd be very proud. But Bob, that's what it's all about right there. That's what makes Swain County High School and Swain County a special place. And as I was sitting there, as Newbie was talking and as Charles Lawson was talking, it's people like Newbie Hall and Pete Lawson that set the bar high and did an outstanding job that has led to such a great tradition here at Swain County High School that we try to continue on and keep going with the great tradition that gentlemen like Newbie and Pete Lawson set so many years ago. We try to continue that tradition on today, and with these younger people like we see with Chelsea and Leafus, they absolutely have continued the excellence because they were so outstanding in their own right. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been indeed my pleasure being with you tonight and talking about these wonderful people who make us all very proud to be Swain High graduates. And yes, we very much bleed maroon and white, and we're very proud of all our inductees here tonight. And before I welcome Neil Blankenship to come up and close us out with a few thoughts, let's give our great 2016 Hall of Fame inductees another great round of applause. And Chelsea was talking about Coach B. Here's the other Coach B.
I'd just like to take the time to congratulate the 2016 class from the Swain County High School Athletic Department on your great honor, and thank you for what you did for us, setting the tradition and keeping the tradition going. And we continue to try to build on that tradition with the kids today. And for what Pete Lawson did for the youth and recognizing them, media nowadays is such an important part of what we do, and he started that, and I remember him when I was in school and as I first started coaching, and he was always at every athletic event. A few things. If you want to come down and take pictures with their plaques, you're more than welcome to come on stage and do that. Tomorrow night, we will recognize the Hall of Fame members before the football game. If you will come to the pass gate, it's on the Hall of Fame end. My wife will be at a table. Don't buy a ticket. Just come on in, and she'll check you off there. You need to be at the 50-yard line on the home side at 6:45, and we will recognize you before the game starts. It's homecoming, so we have homecoming at halftime, so we're going to do this before the game. But once again, congratulations from Swain County High School and Athletic Department, and appreciate what y'all done for us. We were going to sing the school song, but you've done that for us. Anything else, Coach Burrow? All right, we'll take pictures up here now we're done, and thank y'all again for coming out. Appreciate you.